Hi everyone, Alison from Norton Legal here. I'm making this video to help explain how testamentary trusts work. One way to help explain it is to contrast a gift in a testamentary trust will with a gift in a standard will, and also to explain some of the problems of standard will gifts and to show how testamentary trusts can overcome that. So with a standard will, the person who's passed away, which is this poor person here, makes a gift to their beneficiary, which is this person here, by giving them assets. So that could be cash, it could be real estate, it could be shares, it could be money in the bank. The upshot is that the beneficiary is the person that receives those assets. So once they've received the assets, they need to make a decision about what to do with them. So they might decide to invest the money in an investment property, or they could put the money in the bank here, or they might buy shares, or they could have a term deposit, something like that. But with these types of investments, over time, they're going to earn income. So whether it's rental income here or whether it's dividends, dividends on shares or something like that. Oh, I've just lost my writing, but I'm going to press on. Then over time, their assets are going to multiply, and also their income is going to be received over time. When they receive that income, it's going to get added to their existing paycheck. So they might, that's their paycheck. And because they're getting that extra income, it might push them up into the next tax bracket, which means that they'll be paying higher tax. Another issue that can arise with direct gifts in wills. So imagine that this person here is the beneficiary, and then this person here is their spouse. So this beneficiary, originally, they've been given this money here by their parents, say, and that's great. But this money then enters the asset pool of this family. So my writing's not very good. Going forward in future, if they split up, as you can see on the right-hand side here, because that money is in the asset pool, then the money will be split, and the spouse here will be able to get some of that money, which is your inheritance. All right, so that's another big problem with just a standard will. So the way that testamentary trusts help with these problems is that rather than giving somebody the money, say, the money goes into this chest here, which this chest represents the trust. So instead of giving them the money, you just give them the keys. So you give them the ability to control the money. And then with those keys, they can decide where to distribute the money. So imagine that this person here is your child, and then these persons over here, these people over here are your grandkids. So your child can decide to take the money out of the trust and distribute it to their grandkids. So that might be the income that the trust earns can go to the grandkids out of the trust. And the real advantage of doing that is that by distributing that trust income to their children, they get the tax benefits of testamentary trusts. So these tax benefits are only available in testamentary trusts. And what it means is that minors receive any income from a testamentary trust at adult marginal rates, So that means that they can claim the tax-free threshold, which is something like 19,000 per annum at the moment. So each of these kids, you can distribute 19,000 to them completely tax-free. So that can obviously help and go a long way towards covering school fees and things like that for the kids, but it also means that's nearly $60,000 of income that doesn't go on top of the beneficiary's pay packet and put them into that higher tax bracket. Another great thing about testamentary trusts is asset protection. Because this person here, who's the beneficiary, she only owns the keys to this trust. She only has the control of this trust. She doesn't own the trust assets. The trust assets are owned by the trust. So that means that if she was to be sued because she'd gone bankrupt, or if she had a breakdown in her relationship, it's much harder for the spouse or the trustee in bankruptcy to get access to the trust assets. And the reason is because she doesn't own those assets. It also helps to keep the assets separated in the joint sort of asset pool of the relationship. So you can clearly see what was the trust assets, and it's not intermingled with all of the family assets. So I've been talking about giving somebody the keys to the trust. So now I'm just going to explain quickly how the various roles in the trust work. So the appointer, this is the person who chooses who the trustee is. They're like the overall boss of the trust. Whereas the trustee chooses when and how to distribute the income or capital to the beneficiaries. So because the appointer chooses who the trustee is, the appointer has overarching control of the trust. So it's very important to make sure that the people that you put in control of the trust are the right people. Often the appointer and the trustee will be the same person. And the reason that even though they're the same person, they're wearing two different hats. So you want to have them in those two different roles. And because this person here, let's say she's the appointer, if she needs to for some reason, she can resign as appointer. She can resign as trustee if she's the same person and put somebody else in control. And the reason she might want to do that is because if she was going through a divorce or something like that. So she would step away from control of the trust so that it makes it look less likely that it's money that belongs to her. Not only can you have the same person acting as appointer and trustee, you can also have different people if you think that it would be appropriate to have different people in both of those roles, or you can have multiple controllers. So you could have joint controllers. And if you did, you might do that if you had, for instance, if you had a trust where everything was going to your spouse at first instance and then the kids were young, you might have a controller from both sides of the family so that you know that you've got someone from both sides of the family looking out for the interests of your kids. For asset protection, having multiple controllers is really good. It makes it look less like it is the trustee's money. But if you do have multiple controllers, they need to be able to collaborate with one another. If you had, for instance, what we call a beneficiary controlled testamentary trust, so this would be the sort of trust that if you passed away, you left everything to your partner in a trust, then likely it would be your partner who was the trustee and the appointer and also the beneficiary. So that's what we call a beneficiary controlled testamentary trust. In these circumstances, it really looks and feels like the beneficiary's money. But the reason you would put the trust in place is for those asset protection benefits and also the tax benefits. It also gives flexibility around when assets are disposed of. Having said that, in some circumstances, it is better to have different people in control of the trust to the people that are going to benefit from it. And that might be in cases where you have a child with special needs or someone with substance abuse issues, for instance. And so the people that are the beneficiaries, the way that we generally draft the trust is so that it goes in accordance with your bloodline. Because a trust can exist for up to 80 years, you would have as the beneficiaries your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids and so on. But really, you can specify whoever you want to be a beneficiary of your testamentary trust. So that was just a really quick overview. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.